معالي الدكتور راشد أحمد بن فهد وزير البيئة والمياه، رئيس مجلس إدارة هيئة الإمارات للمواصفات والمقاييس، سعادة مايكل اتش كوربن سفير الولايات المتحدة لدى الدولة، أصحاب السعادة، الحضور الكرام، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يطيب لي أن أرحب بمشاركتكم في أعمال هذا المؤتمر، والذي تنظمه هيئة الإمارات للمواصفات والمقاييس بالتعاون مع وزارة التجارة الأمريكية. وأرحب أيضا بمشاركة هذه النخبة من الخبراء والمختصين في مجال المدن الخضراء لتبادل الخبرات والمعرفة في آخر التطورات التقنية والعلمية والممارسات المطبقة في البناء الأخضر، الذي أصبح من المتطلبات الرئيسية للتخطيط العمراني بدولة الإمارات والعديد من دول العالم. إن دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة وبفضل توجيهات قيادتها الرشيدة كانت من أوائل الدول التي انضمت إلى الاتفاقيات الدولية للمحافظة على البيئة وحماية كوكب الأرض، وترجمتها إلى استراتيجيات للتنمية الخضراء تبنتها الحكومة في دولة الإمارات. شكلت التنمية المستدامة في المباني الخضراء إحدى محاورها الرئيسية ضمن العديد من الحلول المستدامة، والتي توجت بالمبادرة الوطنية التي أطلقها صاحب السمو الشيخ محمد بن راشد آل مكتوم، نائب رئيس الدولة رئيس مجلس الوزراء حاكم دبي حفظه الله، لبناء اقتصاد أخضر في دولة الإمارات تحت شعار اقتصاد أخضر لتنمية مستدامة، تطمح من خلالها الدولة بأن تكون من الرواد العالميين في هذا المجال. وفي هذا الإطار قامت هيئة الإمارات للمواصفات والمقاييس بإطلاق عدة مبادرات ضمن خططها الاستراتيجية، والتي تضمنت في هدفها الاستراتيجي الرابع خفض التأثيرات البيئية السلبية للمنتجات ووسائل النقل، حيث تعمل الهيئة على تحقيقه من خلال عدد من المبادرات، 2 منها تصب في مجال المباني الخضراء. الأولى تتعلق بالرقابة على المنتجات الخضراء الخاضعة للوائح الفنية، والمبادرة الثانية تتعلق بتطبيق الأنظمة الخضراء التي سيتم اعتمادها في المباني. وسبق للهيئة إصدار عدد من اللوائح الفنية في مجال كفاءة الطاقة والمياه والأداء للأجهزة الكهربائية، منها الغسالات وأجهزة التكييف المنزلية المركزية والتجارية ومنتجات الإنارة الداخلية والخارجية، وذلك للحد من استهلاك الطاقة والمياه. كما قامت الهيئة بإصدار العديد من اللوائح الفنية والمواصفات القياسية للمنتجات المستخدمة في قطاع التشييد والبناء والموجهة للمباني الخضراء، وذلك بالتعاون مع شركائها الاستراتيجيين في هذا المجال. ويأتي تنظيم هذا المؤتمر ضمن خطط الهيئة لنشر الوعي بحلول التنمية المستدامة في الدولة. وفي الختام أجدد ترحيبي بجميع الحضور وبالمحاضرين، وأتمنى لهذا المؤتمر أن يحقق أهدافه وأن تتم الاستفادة من مخرجاته ومن خبرات وتجارب المشاركين فيه باعتبارهم نخبة من صناع القرار والخبراء والباحثين في هذا المجال. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
شكراً لسعادة عبد الله المعيني. أما الآن رحبوا معي بسعادة مايكل اتش كروبن سفير الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية لدى الدولة لإلقاء كلمته، فليتفضل مشكور.
And now we'd like to welcome to the stage His Excellency Ambassador Michael Corbin, who'll give a few remarks.
Good morning, صباح الخير، السلام عليكم. كسفير أمريكي أنا سعيد جدا أكون هنا اليوم. هذه المؤتمر مهم جدا، لكن باللغة الإنجليزية. I would like to thank His Excellency Dr. Rashid Ahmed bin Fahd, Minister of Environment and Water, for his presence, and Director General Abdullah Al-Marini and the Emirates Authority for Standardization and Metrology, ESMA, for organizing today's program in cooperation with the United States Department of Commerce. In particular, I wish to thank ESMA, which has been especially active in seeking to encourage international and regional cooperation on standards issues. Thank you for your efforts. And lastly, I would like to thank the representatives who are here from different GCC standards organizations. It's very important that you're here in Dubai with us today. I look forward to this conference because I think it gives an opportunity to learn more about the region's green building plans and for U.S. green building experts to share their experiences and lessons learned in encouraging a more resource-friendly commercial building sector. It is quite fitting that the program is taking place in the United Arab Emirates, where Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and other Emirates have committed themselves to a green economy strategy, and where federal and emirate-level government agencies are investing in green infrastructure, from renewable energy and green buildings to public transport and other green technologies. I am sure you will hear more during the course of this conference about the activities taking place in the UAE in these areas. It is also important that we have representatives from the UAE's GCC partners here. GCC governments have begun to formulate green strategies to ensure their economic development coincides with environmental stewardship. The focus for this conference, A Greener Building Sector, provides an opportunity to not only advance technology, but also to do so in a manner that wisely manages resources while contributing to reduced greenhouse gases. During the next few days, we hope to gain a better understanding of how economies in the region have utilized standards and building codes to increase building performance, aligning with the green goals of resource conservation and waste reduction, while utilizing the latest technological advances. Building codes historically have been important policy tools for managing the safety, security, health, environment, and economy of the building sector. They are also regulatory tools for improving the performance of buildings and building professionals. Codes incorporating elements that reduce the use of energy and other resources are a much more recent addition to the building landscape. They include cutting-edge standards for specific building components that improve overall building performance. Both the standards and the codes continue to evolve. In fact, we are still on the cutting edge of green building, with great potential for more widespread acceptance, particularly as evidence of green building as green building return on investment increases. Taking action in the building sector can yield significant societal benefits. In 2012, the United Nations Environment Programme's Sustainable Building and Climate Initiative reported that buildings account for about 40% of global energy use, 25% of global water use, and 40% of the use of global resources. Considering these figures, one can understand how buildings account for nearly 1/3 of global greenhouse gas emissions. Further, the World Health Organization estimates that by 2030, 60% of the world population will live in cities. More people living and working in cities means new construction and more buildings. The good news is that there are technologies and resources available that can reduce the resource demands of buildings, including energy usage and water consumption, while still allowing buildings to remain fully functional. In the coming sessions, we will hear from experts on heating and cooling equipment, indoor air quality, plumbing and water, material and other standards, as well as green code developers and implementers who have and will continue to develop the tools that they will use that will cut the building sector's share of global energy use, water, and other resources. It is essential to apply the latest tools and measures in this region, as well as other parts of the world where there has been rapid growth in the commercial building sector. All the countries of the GCC are investing heavily in construction as the region prepares for Expo 2020 here in Dubai, the World Cup 2022 in Doha, and many other conferences and events in this area. In a region where water is in short supply and air conditioning demands drains national energy supplies and taxes infrastructure, ensuring that new buildings are as efficient as possible is critical. You will hear during this conference from a representative of the City of Los Angeles, where mandatory green codes were first implemented. We will also be hearing from other economies in the region where policies to encourage conservation and resources are resulting in the establishment of more sustainable cities. These presentations should all provide food for thought on ways to facilitate the application of greener building practices. Collaboration is a theme we will return to many times in this conference. I wanted to take a moment to highlight the ongoing collaboration led by the Department of Commerce that is happening in another part of the world. Since 2011, the Department of Commerce has been working on green building standards and cities and codes in the Asia-Pacific region. In the Asia Pacific, the 21 APEC country economies and the 10 ASEAN economies have been meeting since 2011 to consider how to green the commercial building sector and meet APEC's energy usage reduction targets. A critical element of this work has been to encourage economies to work together to ensure that standards and codes which form the basis of green building programs in specific countries do not create obstacles to trade. As this is an emerging technology area, there's a chance to align standards, policies, and programs in a manner that supports economic growth and international trade. Cooperation among the national standards bodies and authorities in this region should have a similar goal. A pathway forward is to select and apply international reference standards that already exist for many building elements. Such standards can be important mechanisms for efficiently establishing greater code requirements that reflect consensus on the technical and procedural level. Use of existing relevant international standards can also reduce unnecessary obstacles to trade in building products. International standards provide access to up-to-date professional consensus decisions about appropriate technologies and procedures to meet challenges presented by building elements targeted for greening. The work on green codes continues with a meeting planned for October 2014 in New Orleans, Louisiana, on the margins of Green Build 2014 in the United States, which is the world's largest building show. The goal of New Orleans meeting is to begin to work on a green code template that incorporates the core elements of green code, such as energy efficiency, water efficiency, indoor air quality, and land use. The New Orleans initiative will draw upon existing proven standards and codes that enable buildings to operate more efficiently while using fewer resources. This effort is open to all interested parties, so please consider this as an invitation to come to New Orleans to see the conference. And my Department of Commerce colleagues, in particular Renee Henscher, can share more information with as these meetings proceed. But I'm very honored to be here, and I think this conference is a very important sign of a collaboration in a particularly important area. I want to thank you all for being here, and I think this will present a great opportunity for cooperating in this important new area for the United States and the United Arab Emirates to work together. So thank you very, very much for your attendance today.
شكراً لسعادة مايكل إتش كروبن. الآن نتوقف لأخذ استراحة قصيرة نكمل بعدها. والآن مع كلمة لجيمس كرامر مساعد وزير التجارة الأمريكية لإلقاء كلمة الوفد الأمريكي، فليتفضل مشكورا.
Thank you. Director General Maini, thank you so much for your organization's support for today's event, and I would like to pass my regards also to the minister who had to depart. Ambassador Corbin, also thank you for your support of U.S.-UAE trade. In part, this conference grew out of the work that Ambassador Corbin has done over the last few years, in particular via the U.S.-UAE Economic Policy Dialogue, where standards was a recent topic on the agenda on a bilateral discussion, and we decided that we should pursue some sort of event to really delve into the details of a specific area, in this case, green building standards. So Ambassador Corbin, thank you again for your hard work on this. Before I introduce the representatives from the Dubai municipality who will give their presentations, and we'll start on the technical side of things, I just wanted to mention this is always a great place for me to come. I'm based out of Washington, but I grew up here in Dubai, actually, about a mile from here in Jumeirah, from 1982 to 1988. So Dubai was a very different place back in the 1980s, as you can imagine, and it's always great to come back to see how it grows. And every time I come back, there's a new building, and it seems that the new building is taller than the last building. Oftentimes I tell my children stories about my time in Dubai, and they're always interested to hear. And in particular, I like to tell them stories about the founder of the UAE, Sheikh Zayed. And so I thought I'd read a quick quote from him that I thought was apropos for today's event. He said that we cherish our environment because it is an integral part of our country, our history, and our heritage. On land and in the sea, our forefathers lived and survived in this environment. They were able to do so because they recognized the need to conserve it, to take from it only what they needed to live, and to preserve it for succeeding generations. With God's will, we shall continue to work to protect our environment and our wildlife as our forefathers did before us. It is a duty, and if we fail, our children will reproach us for squandering an initial part of our inheritance and our heritage. I think that his vision for the environmental protection of the UAE is very apropos, as I said, for today's conference, because as we talk about green building standards, we'll be delving into technical aspects such as water management, air quality, et cetera. But really, at the end of the day, we're talking about environmental stewardship. And the great thing about green building is we're combining both economic growth and environmental stewardship. And they don't have to be mutually exclusive. They can go hand in hand. So with that, I would like to introduce our first technical speaker, Dr. Abdullah Rafia from the Dubai municipality. I was looking at his biography and I noticed that he went to university in Colorado, where he got both his Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering and his Master's of Science in Civil Engineering. And he was back there in the 1970s and 80s when Colorado had a very good American football team. These days, the Colorado football team isn't quite as good as it used to be, but hopefully it will get better. So with that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Rafia, His Excellency, to the stage to speak.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it really gives me a great pleasure to be with you today to speak about this subject that is very close to my heart. I have a presentation, if you could put it up, please, on the subject of United States and the team of Colorado, the Broncos. It was good in the 80s, and it is also was great last year. So we reached the Super Bowl, we lost to Seattle. This is my presentation, although I'll be speaking about the green building regulations in Dubai and the story to get there. It's always proper to start from the strategy itself, and that is the sustainability. Here on the sustainability, I mean, if you look into the 6 pillars of sustainability, you will see that green building is one important pillar. The reason for that is that energy is consumed in buildings in actuality. 70% of produced energy consumed in buildings, and 75% of that is consumed in climatizing the buildings, air conditioning here and heating more in the cooler countries. So in reality, that is where we really, if we want to do some savings and energy, there where we have to look. Next, please. The Dubai Integrated Energy Strategy 2030 is our building block. There we have 2 strategies, one on the supply side and one on the demand side. My part is on demand side management. The strategy itself, as you may see that it calls for efficiency and demand. If you could go further. At the bottom here, we see that the strategy looks into 2030. And by the year 2030, we need to really put some programs where we save 30% of energy use. And that is a huge goal, but I think we can always achieve goals around this part of the world. Next, please. And you see that the strategy contains 8 initiatives. I'll talk about the initiatives briefly, but the main initiative is the Green Building Initiative. And the Green Building Initiative itself, this is our Green Book. It's the Green Building Specification and Regulation and Specification. It has 5 chapters, 5 main chapters. The one is on energy, water, material and waste, ecology, and building vitality. green building regulations, we thought here in Dubai, what's happening in the world with regard to green buildings? Every country is leaving green building regulations as an option to developers. Whether they want to do it or not, that's up to them. And it makes a lot of sense that a lot of people will take that path, but there are also a certain percentage of people, of developers who will not. That's why in Dubai we said, we'll deal with this issue in a different way. We'll just make it a compulsory regulation in our building code. Every building to be built in Dubai starting 2014 is going to be built according to the green building specification and regulation.